Ahoy hoy, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that does to stupidity what... Hold on. Why does the script say ahoy hoy? Every fucking time. Hello? Yeah, hi NASA, what's up? Yeah, I know, but making fun of flat earthers is so easy. They're all so fucking stupid. Yes, I know you're the one that pays me. What new orders are you on about? You're making me work with another agent. Who?
Ahoy hoy, I'm Planarwalk, and there are actually people who are dumber than flat earthers, surprisingly enough. So today, me and FTFE are going to tell you about the morons that are called anti-vaxxers.
Fucking Planarwalk. Do I have a choice with this? Yes, I want my shill check. Yes, I'll do as I'm told. No, you know I can never be mad at you. Yes, I know. I can't, there's people watching. Alright, fine. I love you too, NASA. Bye. This is Stupid Humans, Episode 4, Anti-Vaxxers.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Thank you for joining me as Planarwalk and I have a look at some of the most dangerous and dumbest people on the entire planet. The morons that advocate not vaccinating. The modern anti-vax movement was created by an asshole called Andrew Wakefield, who was found guilty of being dishonest in his research paper published by The Lancet by falsifying results. Many other researchers tried to replicate Wakefield's results and failed. So even though he was discredited, found to be a fraud, had his paper withdrawn by The Lancet and is barred from practicing medicine in the UK, he managed to get his moronic fucking ideas into the minds of many people who really don't know better and is therefore directly responsible for the deaths of people whose lives could have been saved if they had been vaccinated. Which leads to things like this. Flat Earth activist and person terrified of Team Skeptic Nathan Thompson, who already subscribes to the dumbest thing ever concocted by humanity, Flat Earth, you know, so is a certified fucking idiot, also pushes the anti-vax agenda onto his followers, who already have the disadvantage of thinking Nathan Thompson has any fucking idea what he is on about. Let's see how wrong him and his guest get things.
So you're seeing all
delete it.
vaccines in development almost.
But if it's good, maybe I'll keep it up.
Call it a vaccine.
What is the video that we're watching? Who's this lady?
She's an ex-pharma rep from Merck. She worked for Merck.
That happens a lot where people will leave the pharmaceutical companies because they find out what's going on. Didn't you say the guy that was on the doctors who did Vax, he left the show?
Joe was he was a producer on the television show The Doctors.
Oh no, somebody who was a producer on a TV show left. Therefore vaccines are bad and the Earth's flat, I guess? I can already tell that this is going to be a conversation between two really, really smart adults.
You were saying 1 in 27 kids have autism?
It's something like that. The statistics, yeah, it's something like 1 in 27 or 1 in 30 boys. It's a little bit less for girls. The boys are more affected.
No, not true. In the USA, the CDC's most recent estimate in 2014 is that 1 in every 59 children were on the autism spectrum. That equates to about 1.6% of children in the USA. This is significantly more than in the past, but that's easily explained by the fact that the understanding of autism has increased significantly and the fact that the term autism is being applied to a more broad range of conditions, and a review of rising autism figures compared to other disabilities in schools shows a corresponding drop in findings of mental retardation. In other words, we are better at finding autism than we were in the past, and more things are falling under the umbrella of being on the autism spectrum.
The gentleman that sat next to me on the plane out here on the way to Dallas, he had a vaccine-injured kid, and that's why he was super open. We talked for 2 hours about flat Earth, He told me he had a total normal baby. Kid was 2 years old, very responsive. Got his MMR vaccine and just blanked out.
Yeah, that's a really, really shitty thing to find out that your child is on the autism spectrum. My 11-year-old son has ADHD and Asperger's, so I know the heartache of having a child with issues. But to say he was vaccine injured is just idiotic. Most autism diagnoses happen between the ages of 2 and 4. And this is most likely because this is when the child's brain is developing. This just happens to coincide with the time that vaccines are given. A study found that between 1990s and 2007 that the diagnosis rate of autism grew 8-fold. This coincides with the introduction of broader, more precise diagnosis criteria. However, no increase in the amount of diagnosis was observed after the introduction of the MMR vaccine in the 1980s.
You didn't get your kids vaccinated?
No, I was warned.
She was warned by her mom, who worked by the pharmaceutical company, and then some young 19-year-old lady walked up to you.
I was pregnant with my first child, and I was walking through Whole Foods a long time ago when Whole Foods used to have a book section, and a lady walked up to me and handed me a book of, it was by Barbara Lowe Fisher, called A Shot in the Dark, and she handed it to me and she said, "Please read this."
Cool story, bro. So, a random person gave you a book that was written in 1985 and is about a vaccine that has a component that isn't even used in modern vaccines, ever since the DTB was replaced with the DTAP. And that was enough for you to put yours and other children at danger. Sorry if this sounds harsh, but you're a bad parent if you don't vaccinate your kids. Barbara Fisher co-founded the National Vaccine Information Centre. The NVIC asserts that there has been inadequate research into the link between the rise in the number of children diagnosed with autism and mass vaccination programs. There have, however, there have been a number of peer-reviewed studies and meta-analysis which have shown no correlation between vaccine administration and autism diagnosis.
And so at that point, I'd had 2 people warn me, and I...
Because you were pregnant, she walked up to you and gave you the book?
Right.
The guy told me on the plane yesterday, he said, anyone who's having kids, I warn them to do their research now about vaccines.
Yeah, but Nathan, we've seen your research skills there. They're not very good. If anyone watching this wonders how I can make the claim that Nathan Thompson's research skills aren't very good, I remind you he thinks the Earth is flat. Also, he's a fucking idiot.
And I remember telling him that we're being lied to about so much stuff, you know, space is fake and all this stuff, right? But no one's going to be more pissed off about the lies than the people who have vaccine-injured children. And the reason that I started this video was Dana was telling me that 1 in every 2 kids is vaccine-injured.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
1 in 2 kids are vaccine injured. Citation fucking needed.
Has ear infections or bowel disease or...
Well, they're just
chronic...
they're getting chronic ear infections, which starts them out on a lifetime of antibiotics, and then their gut is all messed up, and then they're getting ear tubes, and then the vaccinated kids seem to constantly come down with strep and flu and things that you just don't see in the unvaccinated kids at all.
Are you saying that literally every childhood ailment ever is because of the MMR vaccine? Because that's really stupid. Not that I expect anything different coming from your channel, Nathan. Strep, for instance, a common childhood throat infection caused by the bacteria Streptococcus pyogenes, was first discovered by Austrian surgeon Theodor Billroth in 1874. And the MMR vaccine was first licensed for use in 1971.
That was something that you said your neighbor got her kid vaccinated, and the next day they took the kid in and the kid had strep.
My son's best friend, he was 4, got all his vaccines, and then that very night he looked really ill, and then the next day Mom took him back to the doctor and he said he had strep, which of course the doctor said was just a coincidence, had nothing to do with the vaccines, even though he was fine the day before.
And the doctor was right. It was a coincidence. Strep takes 2 to 3 days to show symptoms after infection. He probably already had it when he went to the doctors. It's kind of like any illness. You don't know that you have it until you have it.
And then after that, his social behavior changed, and he made animal sounds when you talked to him.
This is the wildest thing that she told me. She
Yeah.
said he would talk normally, then he got vaccines, and for months or years?
It went on at least 6 months. Like, I would talk to him. He was a little 4-year-old kid, and I would say hi. You know, I'd say hi to him, and he'd go roar like a lion or something.
Oh my god! A child pretended to be a dinosaur. So fucking what? Have you any idea how many times I have to tell my 6-year-old daughter she isn't a unicorn and to eat her goddamn dinner? Kids do that shit. It's normal.
When he spoke before, and it got to the point where it was difficult to get him to speak, even though he could, and he would sometimes, and he would at home with his parents. That they became very frustrated with the behavior because he started doing that in public, and
normally kids are chatterboxes. You can't get them.
It was just he changed overnight.
Kids grow up. Kids change from day to day. One day, they're a helicopter. The next, they're obsessed with penguins. Again, totally normal.
And then he started showing sensitivity to light and sound.
This is another thing Dana taught me this morning, is that pharmaceuticals aren't actually drugs. They're biologicals. And so they pass through a lot of what's required for drug screening.
Yeah, they don't go through the same testing that pharmaceutical drugs do. And any testing done on them is industry funded, and it's for a very short amount of time, like 6 weeks, and any results they don't like, they just throw out. And they don't use real placebos in the tests they do on vaccines. Well, they only test one vaccine at a time. They've never ever done a study on all 72 doses of vaccines that the kids are getting these days.
Altogether, wow.
They've never ever done a study of the cumulative effects. So they study these vaccines one at a time, and they'll...
That's just straight up false. In the UK, at least, all vaccines have to undergo extensive testing and monitoring before being deemed safe for the population. They don't just make these evil potions and force them into kids by slipping them past the testing phase.
The placebo will have all of the other things in the vaccine without the antigen. So say it'll have aluminum
Aluminium.
and formaldehyde and all this stuff in it, but it won't have like the HPV virus or whatever vaccine it is. So they're fake placebos. It's tobacco science. It's pseudoscience.
Not surprising that the word pseudoscience pops up around Nathan Thompson, but the amount of formaldehyde or aluminium is tiny compared to the amounts that you already have in your body. A child gets more aluminium from breastfeeding than it does from vaccines.
It's not real.
And they've already paid out $4 billion in vaccine injuries.
Through a court, it's called the vaccine court, and it's a real, it's not a fair system, and it came about as part of the 1986 Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, which gave vaccine makers made them free from liability for the damages that their vaccines caused. And so now if you have a child injured by vaccines, you can get a lawyer and you can go to vaccine court, but you can only be compensated for certain injuries. And they're compensating families for kids who have autism, but they have to use special wording, and they have to call it encephalitis, and the court is ruled over by these special masters instead of the way a normal court would be.
Not one of these cases actually said what the cause of the injury was, and they don't even take cases relating to autism. Are there any adverse side effects from vaccines? Sure. Do vaccines cause autism? Not according to the vaccine court.
It's a real...
And who pays out?
And the taxpayers pay out.
Taxpayers.
Yeah, pay out.
So the vaccine companies have lobbied and made laws so we can't sue them. And then when the people are injured from vaccines, honest, hardworking Americans who pay for fake space are now paying for vaccine injuries. That's so wild. That's so wild. Wow.
Yeah, it's sad.
No, what's fucking wild and sad is that you morons are willing to put others at danger to fit your agenda, despite all the evidence out there. Flat earthers are just thick, but anti-vaxxers are a little danger to society. We managed to eradicate entire diseases until your stupid movement brought them back. Fuck all of you.
Well, shout out to all the vaccine activists out there. You guys are awesome.
No, you guys are all assholes who don't care about others. Again, fuck you.
Vegan and vaccine activists are the best. I mean, they honestly do a better job than flat earth activists and Christians. They are so out there, they're organized. So props to you guys. I just wanted to make a vaccine video. Dana's one of the most knowledgeable people I know about vaccines.
Oh, is Dana a doctor? Is she trained in the medical field in any way? Or is she an uninformed idiot who cares more about feeling like she is doing something important at the expense of others' lives? I think it's the latter.
And she has kids and stuff. I don't have kids, so I haven't had to worry about it.
You don't have kids? Thank fuck. Maybe there is a God. Probably not, though.
I am a kid, so still young at heart.
Young at heart and dumb in the fucking brain.
But it breaks my heart. That's one of the reasons I can't stand the globe earth lie, is that they're lying to the kids, and then because they're not thinking for themselves, their status, the state says, oh, inject this formaldehyde and mercury into your system, and people go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, let me do that.
It's understandable that you think everyone is lying to you, Nathan. You think the earth is a magic frisbee. To believe what you believe, everybody has to be lying to you. And that's what makes anti-vaxxers dumber than flat earthers. They've got no reason to think that they're being lied to about vaccines. They happily take the scientific consensus about the shape of the earth and space, but still think the government is choosing to poison your children. Flat earthers are dumb, but they have to be. What's the excuse of an anti-vaxxer?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. It's just nobody's questioning, they're not thinking, and it all does tie together.
This is one thing, anyone I meet who is pro-vaccine, I'll ask them one question, and I've maybe once or twice gotten a legit answer. I'll say, can you name 3 ingredients that are in vaccines? And they don't know anything. They have no clue what's in the vaccine.
Because the average person doesn't need to know. The average person takes the advice of the medical world and vaccinates their children because they understand it will help keep them healthy. People fly as a passenger in planes every day, but I bet most of them couldn't tell you the name of the fuel that's used. They don't need to. They just know that the fuel helps the plane stay in the sky. And they trust people to do their jobs. Although Nathan thinks planes are powered by compressed air. Yes, I did just say that, and you'll hear more about that in an upcoming video.
Doctors don't know either. They're not taught in medical school. Doctors are given about a 2-hour lecture in medical school about vaccines, which consists of basically just the dogma that vaccines are safe and effective, and
it's settled science.
They're the saviors of humanity. They saved us from polio and smallpox, and don't question it. The science is settled, and here's the vaccine schedule, and you need to memorize it. And that is the extent of what doctors are getting in medical school.
I'm not a doctor, and I've never trained as one, but I know several, and they tell me that training as a doctor, you learn a broad range of medical science that covers a lot. You can choose to specialise as you progress in your training. A gynecologist isn't going to know everything about vaccines. In the same way, a doctor that specialises in vaccines probably doesn't know the intricate workings of the female reproductive system.
Wow.
There's a lot of doctors speaking out. They're all saying the same thing. They're all saying this is all we got.
Where? Where are these doctors complaining about the lack of training they got from vaccines? Again, citation fucking needed.
And there's a lot of peer pressure not to ask questions, not to speak out, not to have any critical
Well,
thought.
you'll get blackballed, and
yeah, nobody wants, no doctors want what happened to Andrew Wakefield to happen to them.
Asshole Wakefield got let off lightly. He's a fraud and was exposed as one. In numerous studies done following Wakefield's methods, none were able to replicate his results.
Where their career gets ruined for speaking out.
we just watched a documentary on Big Chicken, and Big Pharma, Big Chicken, Big Oil, like they want to control everything, every aspect, top to bottom, and yeah, it makes so much sense that they'd want to vaccinate these kids, and then they end up sick and have all these other problems, which require more drugs.
Wait, the chicken people are involved now? Shit, this conspiracy goes deep. Someone tell the Colonel.
That's what they're doing. I mean, they're creating the market for the drugs.
I think they do that with the diet a lot too.
Well, yeah, they are. Yeah.
You know?
Making them sick and then providing the solution.
Why? Why would they do that? It's idiotic and even more stupid to think people want to do that. Anti-vaxxers are thick as shit.
Gosh, the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. And I mean, if you love money so much that you're willing to make kids sick so that they come back and get more drugs. It says, better a millstone hung around your neck than lying to little kids. That's why I'm blocked on Facebook at the moment. It's because I said that to someone. I said, if you lie to kids, the Bible says you should jump off a bridge.
Then Nathan, here is evidence that you should jump off a bridge, according to the Bible.
The floor is not moving 1,000 miles an hour. Okay?
And if you're hurting kids, I mean,
It's evil.
it's even worse. It's so evil. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think people can fathom the amount of evil involved in secret societies and occultism and New World Order and stuff. So they just tune it out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's-
oh, that's just a conspiracy theory
Yeah.
because they can't accept the evil that's in the
It's
world.
almost incomprehensible how
Yeah.
evil it is. Yeah.
No, what's incomprehensible is that there is two people as dumb as you in the same room and there hasn't been a black hole created. Anti-vaxxers are really stupid. And here is my good friend Planarwalk with a special guest to tell you why.
So as I mentioned earlier, anti-vaxxers are very stupid. In fact, it takes another level of stupidity to think that it's better for your kid to risk the chance of getting polio than it is for them to get a vaccine, because that vaccine might cause autism. Even though there have been many studies done which show no connection between vaccines and autism. Actually, it's been proven numerous times that vaccines cause autism. Karen, you and I both know that you have no citations to substantiate that claim. Actually, I do have citations. Just put the citation up here, editing guy. Hey Karen, did you actually read what that says? Of course I did. It shows a link between mercury and autism, which means that there's a link between vaccines and autism. So your response there is very telling that you didn't actually read what the paper has to say, because while it is true that the paper shows a link between mercury and autism, you need to read the conclusion. The conclusion states, results of the current meta-analysis revealed that mercury is an important causal factor in the etiology of ASD. It seems that the detoxification and excretory mechanisms are impaired in ASD patients, which lead to accumulation of mercury in the body. Further additional studies on mercury levels in different tissues of ASD patients should be undertaken. See, it's just as I told you. Vaccines cause autism. I win. You didn't listen to me reading it out either. So what that study suggests is it suggests that there's a problem with the detoxification mechanisms within ASD patients. It literally says that in the conclusion. And the reason why it came to this conclusion is because the study found that in ASD patients, mercury levels in the blood and the brain were higher. However, the mercury levels in the hair were lower. If ASD was just simply a result of being exposed to more mercury, then in ASD patients there should be more mercury within hair and urine, which is not what has been found. But the fact remains is that there's a definitive link between mercury and autism, therefore vaccines contribute to autism. So here's another issue with trying to use that paper as a citation for vaccines causing autism. Vaccines don't actually contain mercury. Yes they do. Have you not read up about vaccines? You clearly haven't. They contain thimerosal, which is mercury. Point number one. Thimerosal is not mercury. It may contain mercury, but salt contains chloride. Salt is not chloride itself, it just contains the atom for chloride. It is not as dangerous as chloride. Point number two. Most vaccines these days don't actually contain thimerosal. The only vaccines that contain thimerosal are pretty much the flu vaccine. What about aluminum? What about aluminium, Karen? Aluminum. Yeah, aluminium. What about it? Studies have shown a link between aluminum and autism. Put the link right there, right now. Now! So the first thing to note is that study shows a link between aluminium and autism, not aluminum and autism. Secondly, the average amount of aluminium that a human will intake daily is about 10 milligrams. The highest amount of aluminium in a vaccine is about 1.5 milligrams, and need I remind you that vaccines are not administered daily. But would an additional aluminum from vaccines make it worse? I don't think you've thought this through. Well, if you're going to narrow the problem down to just aluminium, your problem isn't with vaccines, it's with the aluminium that the vaccines contain. And note that there are a lot of other things that also contain aluminium, like aluminium cans and stuff like that. Well, my problem isn't just with the aluminium, because vaccines cause encephalitis. Hey Karen, do you actually know what encephalitis is? Do I know what encephalitis is? Of course. 1 second. Okay, yeah, it's inflammation of the brain, which is bad and it's caused by vaccines. So yes, encephalitis is inflammation of the brain. And it has a couple of causes, one of the most common being viral infection. And vaccines cause viral infection because they put the viruses into the vaccine. Except the viruses in the vaccines are far more mild than viruses that you'd catch from other people, meaning that vaccines actually carry a far lower risk of encephalitis than proper viruses. My son Daniel got encephalitis after getting measles. Did you secretly vaccinate him in order to blame the encephalitis on the measles? Okay, Daniel, we're getting the essential oils out. No, it's just that the rate for encephalitis of people that are vaccinated is about 1 in a million. Whereas the rate for encephalitis with people that aren't vaccinated is about 1 in 1,000. But it gets even better because if you get measles, encephalitis is the least of your worries. One of the bigger worries that you have to worry about with measles is death. Because if you get measles, there is about a 1 in 1,000 chance that you'll get encephalitis. But there's also a 1 in 850 chance that you will die. I know how the government snuck those vaccines into Daniel. Now, Planarwalk. There's a problem with whatever it is you're rambling on about. Your estimates only account for if people get measles. People don't always get measles. Okay, well, let's use some data then. According to the World Health Organization, more than 140,000 people died from measles in 2018. Now let's assume that everybody on Earth is susceptible to measles, but spoiler alert, they're not. Now plugging those numbers in, we find that even if everybody is susceptible to measles and we take a rate of 140,000 people dying from measles per year, that means that there is a slightly greater than 1 in 55,000 chance of dying from measles. That is still way worse than the 1 in a million chance of encephalitis. And of course, this doesn't account for the fact that there are a lot of people that are immune to measles because of vaccinations, and also that's 140,000 people per year. It's not a 1 in a million chance per year of getting encephalitis from the MMR vaccine because you only get the MMR vaccine once. That's just what they want you to think. They actually vaccinate everyone all the time, so there's a much higher chance of getting encephalitis. Are you talking about other vaccines like the flu vaccine? Because no matter what vaccine you're talking about, there's a much higher chance of getting encephalitis from the disease itself rather than the vaccine. Nope, I'm talking about how they managed to vaccinate my son Daniel to give him encephalitis. You see, I don't like the fact that they're putting vaccines in the water that's turning the frogs autistic. Okay, I think that's enough from you, Karen, because that's just going into the realm of crazy.
Don't like the truth that they're
anyway,
putting vaccines in the water, which is turning
back to
the
you,
frogs
FTFE.
autistic. You see, this is what they did to Alex Jones. They couldn't handle that Alex Jones was
Thanks,
telling
Planarwalk.
the truth to people. And yes, let's go back
Karen,
to
shut up.
FTFE so that I can tell him all
Don't
about
mute the
how the
audio on
frogs
this
are being
thing.
turned autistic.
Karen, be
you hear this,
quiet.
FTFE? They're turning the frogs autistic due to all the vaccines that they're putting in the water. This is
Shut
not
up!
a joke. This has been confirmed by many people. You just need to look into it. It's all a big conspiracy that they're trying to cover up, you see. It's all due to Big Pharma. And the government, of course.
Sorry about that. Anyway, if you guys haven't already, please check out the amazing Planarwalk in the link in the description. And just before I go, I want to give a massive shout out to all my patrons and channel members. Without your guys' support and generosity, I wouldn't be able to keep bringing you the great content that I love to do. If you join as a member or a patron, you can join the special members and patrons only section of my Discord, where I'll be doing members and patrons only streams from, and hanging out and having chats with you guys. I hope everyone is safe in this crazy time. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please leave a like, subscribe if you're not already, and hit the notification bell so you never miss anything from FTFE. I'll be back soon with a video on how the coronavirus is caused by 5G, and another video going over Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser's commentary on my debate with Nathan Thompson. Stay safe, vaccinate your kids, wash your hands, and remember, stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat earth. Fight the flat